I want to ask you a question, not because I expect for you to answer it today, because I hope you'll carry it with you long after this episode is open. When did you stop trusting yourself? Not your education, not your experience, not your abilities, yourself. I know exactly when it happened for me. And for years, I thought I lost confidence. But looking back, I realized I lost trust in myself. Welcome back to The Next Moves with Tamaira. Every Thursday, we explore decisions that shape our lives, our leadership, and our purpose, because I believe your next move begins long before you make it. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here since episode 1, thank you for coming back. This week, we are going to continue a conversation that started in Monday's edition of Lessons from the Boardroom. The boardroom question from Memo 2 was, when did you stop trusting yourself? I know exactly when I stopped trusting myself. And today, I want to tell you that story. This year is the 10-year anniversary of Boss Moves International. And this story happened at the peak of all of it. Everything was going great. The company was growing. We had incredible events. We had just finished our first international conference. It was amazing. And we had planned this incredible trip to Paris. Oh my gosh, for an amazing group of women. We planned, we saved, we dreamed, we had outfits, we had an itinerary. We knew where we were going to eat, we knew where we were going to shop, we knew what museums we wanted to go to. We brought stylists and photographers, and everybody was on board, and we were so excited. All I kept thinking was, this is going to be great. Then the world stopped. Yeah. Flights were canceled, hotels closed, refunds disappeared. We had a travel agent that I trusted trying to navigate the crisis that no one had ever experienced, but then the communication stopped. People lost money. We ended up in small claims court. It was a mess. But to be honest, that's not really what hurt the most. I was embarrassed. I felt like I let people down. I had so many people believing in me and cheering for me and supporting me and who had invested into this because of me. And now it wasn't happening. And I didn't have the answers. And I didn't know what to do because the world stopped and so did I. I didn't officially quit Boss Moves, but I became real quiet. I removed my face from the postings on Boss Moves and just started putting up, inspirational quotes. And you can do it, guys. Keep going. And things that took the attention off of me, but still encouraged the people who stood by me. But I wasn't myself. I became real quiet. Years later, and it took years for me to realize something. COVID wasn't my fault. Millions of people lost trips, weddings, graduations, conferences, and dreams. But I had made a mistake. I had made a huge mistake. I confused an uncontrollable global event with my ability to lead. Right? Big one. But now I finally have the language for what happened. And I want to share that with you. I call that moment borrowed doubt. Borrowed doubt, the way I define it, is it's the criticism, the shame, the expectations, even the fear that never belonged to you, but somehow became your inner voice. And borrowed doubt has ended more dreams than any lack of ability could. If you read this week memo, you'll recognize that phrase. On Monday, we explored the question. And today we're going to talk about it a little bit deeper. Because what I started to realize as I unpacked this was if the doubt was borrowed, that means it doesn't really belong to you. We've been carrying around things that aren't ours. We've been carrying around feelings about ourselves that didn't belong to us from the beginning. We've been carrying shame. We've been carrying embarrassment. We've been carrying criticisms that were not our own. And so if this doubt does not belong to you, there's only one thing we can do, and that is return to sender. That's right. We're going to return to sender. The shame, return to sender. The embarrassment, return to sender. The belief that one difficult season defines your whole future, return to sender. That voice that says you're not good enough, return to sender. Because this doesn't belong to you. This is not who you are. This does not define who you were created to be. And we can no longer afford to live in the doubt that doesn't belong to us. We need to understand who we were created to be, who we were formed to be. We were created in the image of God. And those things that we've been carrying for years, it's time to release it. It's time to let it go. It's time to lay it down. It's time to return to sender. That self-doubt, that embarrassment, that criticism, the overthinking, the insecurity, the anxiety, let it go. Return it back to sender because it's not yours. And when I did that, everything changed. In 2025, I came back to Boss Moves International, not because I had it all together, but because I had released those things that didn't belong to me, and I found myself again. I found my voice again. I found the light that had dimmed in my body and in my soul, and I was able to bring that back. And now here I am with a brand new podcast, a weekly leadership memo that's coming out, events, and I'm speaking, I'm on stages, I'm back to coaching, and I'm back in full swing because I had to return to sender all of that borrowed doubt that had slowed me down and weighed me down for years. So now it's your turn. The boardroom question from the lessons from the boardroom memo was, when did you stop trusting yourself? And I hope you've done the work behind that. But today, for our session here on the podcast, I want you to write something down because, I'm an educator, so I'm going to give you a little homework. That's the educator in me. Go get a pen and paper and write this down. What have you been carrying that needs to be returned? What have you been carrying that needs to be returned? And I want you to spend some time with that and take a moment, quiet moment to yourself and think about the things that you've been carrying, the weight that you've been carrying that doesn't belong to you. And then I want you to take out a big red pen and write right across the top of it, return to sender. Just like they do at the post office, return to sender because it's not yours. That's our assignment for today. And that's heavy enough. So I'm going to leave that right there with you. And I'd love to continue this conversation inside the Next Move Network. The link is in the show notes, and we're also on Facebook, so you can find us there. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone that has been carrying borrowed doubt. And make sure you read this week's edition of Lessons from the Boardroom for an executive reflection behind today's conversation. So next Thursday, we're going to talk about something else. Does every voice deserve to be heard? And does every voice have authority? That's next week. But until then, keep asking better questions, keep leading with purpose, and above all, make your next move count.